minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it. Secretary Granholm, are you aware that China reportedly permitted or began construction on coal units equivalent to about 2 coal-fired power plants per week in 2022?
They are the world's largest emitter.
And they're building more coal plants. That's correct, is it not?
That's correct.
And I surmise that last year's renewed construction, based on the reports that I've read, is likely in response to grid failures that China experienced last summer due to heat and drought. Especially after today's EPA announcement of its newest crackdown on fossil fuel plants, what are we going to do in our country to mitigate coal and natural gas power plant closures and ensure that America doesn't fall prey to grid failures like China did?
A great question, and it's one of the reasons why the funding for carbon capture and sequestration, the amount of money going to $85 per ton for sequestration is an incentive to install decarbonization technologies on coal plants and on natural gas plants as well. That will enable those plants to keep running. If there are a plant that's already announced that they are closing, they don't have to install any of that stuff, but if they are going to be long-term, I think because of the resources that has been given, it allows for them to continue to operate, but without CO2 emissions.
Well, and based on your statement just now, if you're already planning to close, or if you're going to close, you don't have to spend the money. Isn't that actually going to do the opposite and encourage more plants to close and therefore put our grid at risk?
I think that those are private investment decisions by those, by the operators.
Driven
of those
by
plants.
your policies.
Well, I don't think so. I think we want to make sure that we have decarbonized our electric system, and that's why the technologies exist.
We're just going to have to disagree on that, Madam Chair, or Madam Secretary. I appreciate it. Kathy McMorris Rogers and I, in my capacity, her in capacity as chair of the full committee, in my capacity as chair of the Oversight and Investigation Subcommittee, wrote to you last year requesting a briefing to include specific information regarding the department's October 2022 announcement of a $200 million award to Microvast and the department's review of potential ties to the Chinese Communist Party. That requested briefing has not occurred, and your written response from February of this year did not provide the requested information. Instead, the department stated that it would not provide more information on this award while it was still undergoing a, quote, post-selection risk-based due diligence review. Here's the question. Is it standard procedure for the department to begin conducting due diligence reviews more than 3 months after it announces an award?
The department conducts reviews after the announcement of a selection, because that always happens, and every person, every entity that is selected gets a letter saying that this is not a done deal. You have to go through a due diligence process. With the additional funds that have been now coming through the Department of Energy and the grant funding, we have set up a process that is informed by the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States to ensure that we vet everyone that's made it through the technical review. So there's several layers of review to be able to be eligible for funding. In the instance you've described, not a dollar has gone out. So just to be clear, there is a serious process of vetting that's going with everyone that was selected now. And that is a serious looking under the hood to make sure taxpayers are protected and that no IP is going to China.
And has that always been the case when you all do an award?
We've always done vetting, but this time we are, because of the new funding that we have, we've set up a different and more intense process that is involving the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States and their process.
And I'm not against that, but I am curious, when did you all develop this? Was it before the grants were announced? Or I forgot the words you just used, but before the grants were selected. Yeah. There you go. Thank you. Yeah. Before the grants were selected, or was this a process that came about subsequent because of some of the negative press you got about Microvast?
Well, let me just say that we've always had a vetting process. And now in the fall, we set up a more intensive vetting process because of the additional funding that's coming through the Department of Energy and making sure that we can protect the taxpayer and ensure that China is not getting funding from us.
So it would be subsequent to our letter?
Well, again, well, I don't know when your letter
The
was.
October of 2022.
I don't know
You
exactly.
can get back to me. My time's up, but
Yeah,
you can get back to me. I'd appreciate it. Thank
You
you.
bet.